猪一样被往带走。对对对，老虎。
When Typhoon Matmo struck southern China, it arrived with the full force of nature. Powerful winds, relentless rain, and a path of disruption that touched hundreds of thousands of lives. This is the story of what happened, where it struck, and how people and authorities are coping in its aftermath. On October 5, 2025, Typhoon Matmo, classified as Typhoon number 21 by Chinese meteorological authorities, made landfall on the east coast of Xuwen County in Guangdong Province. At the time of landfall, winds at the storm's center were recorded at around 151 kilometers per hour, placing it firmly in the strong typhoon category. Gusts were even higher, powerful enough to uproot trees, tear down power lines, and damage homes. The storm carried enormous amounts of water with it. Heavy rainfall quickly began pounding the southern provinces, overwhelming local drainage systems and flooding coastal and inland areas. The landfall happened around 2:50 in the afternoon local time, directly striking Guangdong Province, a region that sits at the southern tip of China and faces the South China Sea. From there, Matmo pushed across the Leizhou Peninsula, bringing storm surges and strong winds to nearby areas and spreading its rain bands across Hainan Island to the east. The timing of the storm made things more difficult. It coincided with the Golden Week holiday, one of the busiest travel periods of the year in China, when millions of people are on the move. This magnified the disruptions, grounding flights, suspending ferry operations, and stranding countless travelers. The numbers tell a stark story of Typhoon Matmo's impact. 347,000 people were evacuated in advance of the storm from Guangdong and Hainan provinces. Central winds reached 151 kilometers per hour, while some gusts were even stronger. Rainfall totals in affected areas range from 100 millimeters to nearly 250 millimeters, enough to cause flash floods and landslides. Entire communities experienced seawater intrusion as storm surges pushed ocean waves onto roads and into coastal villages. These figures underline just how widespread and powerful Matmo's impact has been. Behind these statistics are the experiences of ordinary people. In coastal Guangdong, many families had to leave their homes as the storm closed in. Emergency shelters were prepared to house evacuees, offering them food, water, and a safe place to wait out the worst of the weather. In Hainan, ferry services were suspended early on, cutting off the island's main transport links. This left travelers stranded at airports and ports, with many forced to spend the night on benches or in terminals while waiting for conditions to improve. In some villages along the coast, seawater poured onto roads, making it impossible for people to move around. Those who stayed behind had to climb to higher floors of their homes or move to safer ground. Reports from local media describe scenes of residents carefully securing their belongings and bracing against the wind. Others spoke about the fear of hearing rooftops shake and windows rattle through the long night. The typhoon also took a toll on infrastructure. air travel was heavily disrupted. More than 100 flights in and out of Hainan were canceled or delayed. Ferry services between Hainan and the mainland were suspended, leaving vehicles and passengers waiting for days. Roads in coastal villages were flooded by both rain and seawater, cutting off access in and out of certain areas. Electricity was knocked out in pockets of Guangdong and Hainan as falling trees and wind damage brought down power lines. Crews have been working around the clock to restore service. Fishing boats were brought ashore before the storm, keeping harbors jammed with vessels that normally would be at sea. Authorities warned that landslides could occur in hilly areas where rainfall totals were highest, posing additional risks for villages in those regions. China's emergency management agencies were quick to respond. Evacuations. As mentioned, over 347,000 people were moved from low-lying and coastal areas into safer shelters. This large-scale effort helped minimize the human toll. Flights, ferries, and even sections of highways were shut down temporarily to keep people out of harm's way. Fire brigades, police, and medical units were deployed across Guangdong and Hainan to respond to emergencies, including stranded residents and collapsed structures. Meteorological services issued continuous updates and warnings, helping communities track the storm's path and prepare for its impact. In addition, local governments have been providing food, clean water, and bedding in evacuation centers. These shelters remain open as rain continues to fall across the region. Although Matmo has already made landfall, the system continues to move westward at around 22 kilometers per hour. Forecasters expect it to weaken gradually as it passes into the northern regions of Vietnam and Yunnan province in China. Even as the storm loses strength, heavy rainfall remains a threat. Flash floods and landslides are still possible, especially in mountainous terrain. Typhoon Matmo has shown once again the vulnerability of coastal regions to sudden and powerful storms. Its winds and rains have forced mass evacuations, disrupted travel, and tested the resilience of southern China's communities.